Do you want to start off the story of how it all happened?
Sure thing. So, I mean, there's like tons of moving parts to this story. I'm just so excited. So,
I'm happy
Beverly,
to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Beverly and I actually met at a conference in Tanzania late last year, and we're both part of a women's mentorship program. So it's called the African Women's Entrepreneurship Cooperative. But we're two different cohorts. So I'm in the second cohort, which has just ended actually, and she was in the cohort before. The funny thing is, when I joined my cohort, I realized that there's no one else that's in doing anything in the sports industry. You know, we're connected with tons of women from across Africa, but there was no one else in sports. And this was kind of like a sad moment for me because I was like, man, I'm the only one. But then the organizers kept saying to me, along the journey, while they were giving me feedback on, my projects and what I'm doing, it's just that, there was a woman that we really want to connect you with from last cohort. She's doing great work in sport. I think, last year we also had one other cohort member. And when I was told this, I was like, haha, you're joking. Because I'm always the only one in sport. That's a lie. But luckily last year, Beverly did amazing in her cohort. So she was obviously called back to join our cohort and inspire us as well. And she took the stage and she just spoke about, what she does in Nigeria, which she'll share with us a little later. And right there, you can ask her. I was like waiting on the stage right afterwards to speak to her. I was like, I'm not letting her go. She's not going anywhere, So I went up to Beverly, introduced myself. And I think from there, we just clicked. We had lunch together.
Yeah. Yes, we hit it off. Yes.
Yeah, I think
it was really nice. Trust me, I was as happy as you, knowing that there was someone else in sports, because I was pretty much the only one in cohort 1. So same thing. Someone said to me, "There's a lady who does sports in cohort 2," and I was like, "I have to come and meet you." Luckily, we connected, and
And I think from there, I mean, the thing I love about Beverly, despite all the other people I've met, is that she's holding me accountable. It's like from there, she said at that summit when we were there in Tanzania, she was like, we have to keep this going. We have to keep having conversations. We have to grow. We have to do this. And the funny thing is, as soon as I got back to Barcelona, going on with my life, Beverly messaged me and said, let's set up something. Let's have conversations. You and I were in sport. Let's talk, let's integrate our platforms. She would love to come on my platform, talk a bit about, what she does. And this was brilliant because as much as I had just gone back and I could just go on with my ordinary life, Beverly popped up and was like, we said something, we set an objective, and we actually have to get something going. And that
it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to get there, to get that confidence. It takes confidence to get people to, do stuff with you. Because I said, oh my goodness, what if she thinks I'm bugging her? What if she thinks it's true. But there comes a point where you just have to just try. If you don't try, then you don't know what can happen. So
absolutely.
I hope you can see now that I appreciated it so much, because that leads to how you get in touch with Ed. So I'll just share this very short story aside everything. My first session with Beverly, we wanted to get on, share our experience. So we chose a topic, we talked a bit about what we were going to talk about, and we were ready. So we set up an Instagram live to go, and we got on, and the connection just let us down. So we were ready. Told everyone while we were live. It just didn't happen. So guess what it was? Ed was actually one of the viewers that day, and he was actually following the conversation. And right after, we decided, fine, the connection is not going to work. We're going to have to do this some other time. Right after that, after I spoke with Beverly, Ed called me and said, hey, I can see you're struggling with this. And Ed is like the guru, you can see, and all the tech things, figuring everything out. So he actually offered to set up, a webinar platform for you and I to have our next conversation, which was fantastic, which did happen with Ed there as a two-way conversation.
But that failed as well. So we've had to use it on the day. So let's be honest, I set it all up, and then on the day, I went, hold on, everybody, you can't use this. We can't get, it was on the integrity of sport in Africa. And I'm like, I can't just wing this, no way. So I said, look, everybody, we've got to get on Zoom, join me there. And they did. And we had honestly, I'm sharing this story for a big reason. We talked about networking, we talk about communication. This happened on the 7th of March. 7th of March last month, the webinar. And then afterwards, we did the webinar. We got a great response, actually. Dev Kumar Palmer was in the call. We had some other experts. Yes, it wasn't like beautiful as this, So people with IT tech, we did it on Zoom. It wasn't the beautiful thing, but this is a bit more beautiful. But I tell you what, we then had Amy and Beverly with a quick WhatsApp call about the webinar, because I'm going to jump off. I want you to get going. But I said one question, and I said this to Bev. I said, you said grassroots sport is the main area to focus on. Now we've got this coronavirus going on. Now we're in the perfect opportunity to promote this. And I just remember Beverly said, focus on the grassroots with development. And Amy and I looked at each other going, man, that's what we got to do. So that's what we're doing this summit. So look, I'm going to let you jam, but for the listeners listening in, this is how it works with communication. Amy, do your thing, and take care.
Thank you. All right. Nice. I mean, that's a good story.
Yeah, we can go on for ages because it just keeps getting better. I mean, actually, what we haven't mentioned is that I wouldn't be as closely connected to Ed, and we probably wouldn't have put this together if we didn't have that tech issue that day. So you're a huge part of the story. I have to keep saying that you really are, and I'm grateful that you pushed me to actually get it going.
Do you know what? We shouldn't be scared of failure. It's something also I'm really learning. I'm learning not to be scared to put my hands up. I'm learning not to be scared to shoot my shot. And I could have said, hey, Amy's cool, but she seems busy and I don't want to bug her. So trust me, we're all learning constantly. If you don't push, you just don't know what's going to be on the other side of that door. So it's a lesson for everyone. Let's just keep pushing. You just never know what can happen.
A lesson I definitely learned from you. Let's get on with it, Beverly. I know you and I.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm sure everyone's like, okay, well, Beverly's just come on and we're just talking, but let's take it a step back. Who is Beverly? What does she do? How did you get into sport? Share with the audience.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for having me. I don't take it for granted. Hello to everyone on the call. Happy to have you on. My name's Beverly Agbakoba Onyejianya, and I'm a Nigerian. I'm a sports and entertainment lawyer based in Lagos. And I do a lot of things, so it's a bit difficult to kind of summarize, but I would consider myself as a sports professional, sort of 360 degrees. I'm a lawyer, as I said. I'm also the founder of a youth football academy called Lagos Tigers Football Club. And I'm also a facility co-owner with my mom called Tiger Active Sport. So I'm really sort of I participate in sports sort of 360 degrees from the user end of things and also from the support end. So I also support other professionals, like I said, as a sports lawyer. How did I get started in sports? It depends which angle we're looking at. If we're looking at it from the academy angle, how did I get involved in the academy? That was about 8 years ago now. 8 years ago, I started the academy to support my son's interest, or so I thought, in football. And that sort of curiosity, that's one thing about me that people would say, Beverly is always trying one thing or the other. So that curiosity got me sort of into the world of youth sports, and it's one of the best decisions I think I made unwittingly. And obviously I have to thank people around me. I really enjoyed the call just before this one, just listening to him. It's all about learning from people. I wouldn't be where I am today if I don't acknowledge the support I have had from close friends, family, people who said, what on earth are you doing in sports? This is before sports gained that traction we've seen in the last 2 years. 8 years ago, sports was still, you know, it was only the really big brands. You didn't really hear about individuals carving out sort of a niche for themselves, you know, unless you were maybe a coach or something. There just weren't many sports entrepreneurs to look up to. So I didn't really have anyone to look up to. But what I did have around me was good people who saw value in what I was doing and just kept pushing me on, because it was tough. It's not easy doing anything, you know, good. And youth sports can be challenging because you have to, it's like academia. You have to make sure that your curriculums are correct. It's sort of you're trying and you're testing. So the youth sports angle was pretty interesting, tough. We're still going. We're about 150 kids now, 8 years down the line, still trying to grow. So that's been an interesting ride. The sports legal side of things started about 3 years ago. So before I delved into sports law as a profession, my background had been banking and capital markets, regulatory and compliance. So effectively, I was all about making sure the business I was working for was following certain rules, the frameworks, whether that is internally in the firm itself and also externally, looking at the general wider regulatory environment of, say, the country, of the industry. So I was able to bring that background I had in regulatory compliance into sports. Why? Because sports is one of the most regulated industries. So that pivot I made 3 years ago, it was a bit daunting initially because, sports is, like we say, it's male dominated. There's so many outstanding, professionals that people know of. So there was that sense of, who's going to take me seriously? And that's my imposter syndrome moment where you think, am I really cut out to do this? But then again, you have to push those negative thoughts to the back of your mind. And I went into it gung-ho, because one thing about me, when I discover something that I feel is new, but also something that blends my passion and also my technical expertise, it's like gold. So I went into it all the way. And I was fortunate because in Nigeria, where I practice, it was also a turning point for the sports industry here. We've had years and years of decay and rot. Sorry to say this, I have to be frank, but we've had years and years of decay and rot in the sports industry, whereby, the grassroots are simply not benefiting. Yes, people do shine. We have so many amazing sports professionals that have come out of Nigeria that we all know very well, cutting across football industry, athletics, swim, but the support isn't really there. These are people who, against all odds, push through. But one thing you see, a lot of them, they go and they play for other countries. So I said to myself, okay, how can I, using this newfound passion and expertise I've built up over 12 years, how can I bring that to bear and support, the sports industry in Nigeria? And that's when I pretty much felt like, wow, Eureka, I found what it is I'm supposed to do. Like this next level of my career, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm meant to do advocacy, human rights awareness in sports, bringing a whole new angle to the way we look at sports. No one thinks of the legal side of sports. You don't think about your human rights. You don't think about employment rights. But these are things that we need to begin to focus on. Sports professionals have the same rights, and they have the same rights as any other industry, whether it's oil and gas, whether it's engineering. They deserve the same career opportunities. They deserve the same growth opportunities. And the only way that can happen is when, the right policies are in place. It's all about policy. So I've been so fortunate. Again, Nigeria, there's a lot of change taking place. So I was invited to join the National Economic Summit Group, which was, again, another amazing opportunity, because I'm like, wow, I can now do policy work, because that's another thing that I absolutely love from my banking capital markets days, drafting policies, reviewing the rules. So, I love sports because it's just so exciting. You literally just decide, okay, what niche, what part of the sports how would I say, circle, what part do I want to be in? I want to be on this, I want to play a support role. I want to do policy work. I want to do advocacy. I want to talk about the rights of minors in sports, So it's been such an interesting and extraordinary ride, meeting brilliant people like yourselves through networking. I mean, it's been pretty exciting. It's unfortunate that, COVID-19 seems to have stopped things a little bit in tracks, but I say momentarily only, because there's so much we can do, using digital means where we can still communicate. So as far as, doing stuff behind the scenes, we can definitely still keep plodding on. We all hope that one day in the near future we'll all be, the stands, the stadiums will be full again, the kids will be out there practicing, but for now, I feel like people like myself who do the policy work, who do the reviews, we have quite a big role to play actually in raising that awareness for the users, the stakeholders. So it's pretty exciting actually, and I want to encourage more women to get involved. I mean, there's so much growth and opportunity in sports for everybody, men, women, children, but it's that advocacy piece I want to keep driving, that message I want to keep sending out, that there's so much opportunity. You decide where you fit in, from sports medicine to policy work to talent management. There's a lot, and we all need to kind of dig in and keep growing this industry, because it can only get better.
No, certainly. I think there's so many different aspects of sports that you're in, which is fantastic, and we're definitely going to talk about them. I want to backtrack a bit, to talk about the grassroots side. Can you please share about this club a little more, your vision or your belief in terms of, actually developing these children at the grassroots? Why do you do it? Why did you start it? And why is it important?
Okay, so I started it because of my first son. Again,
share, I think we might need to be clear on it. So Beverly runs the Little Tigers Football Club, if I'm correct, in Lagos, Nigeria.
We changed the name, actually. The name is now Lagos Tigers. It used to be Little Tigers for the longest time, because my son, who it was founded for, was only 3 at the time, and he's now going to be 11. So, but one of the big reasons for changing the name was inclusivity. And I also felt like I had grown a lot in the last 7-8 years. I was ready to take the club to the next level in terms of the age range that we were focusing on. So we had focused on that under 10 age range for quite some time. And I found that after a while, the older ones tended to sort of move along to other clubs. So it was really about trying to create an academy that can cover the scope of the needs of an under 6 to under 10, all the way up to under 19. So this year was, and I still believe it is, I don't believe, things are totally, stopped in their tracks. But this was the year of extending the age range to under 19, because we've grown in popularity, and it just felt like time to make the next move. We changed the name from Little to Lagos, wanting to capitalize on the brand, the geographical brand name Lagos. So we had a lot of plans. I mean, everybody had plans for 2020, but things can still happen, not discouraged, just maybe there's more time to fine tune the plans. So that's pretty much how it started, because of my son. And I'm pleased that, something that I didn't actually start intentionally. I didn't set out to become a club owner. It happened. It just happened. And I guess that's the beauty of life. Sometimes you stumble into new opportunities that you would never have considered for yourself. So that stumble is what then led me into the practice of sports law, because after 8 years being exposed to the youth academy scene, and already as a lawyer, the do's and don'ts, international best practice. And in Nigeria, there was a wonderful opportunity to really try and get that best practice rolled out, to be one of the few academies, highly rated for their syllabus, the curriculum. So it just made me think. I just got thinking, okay, how can I leverage off this exposure I've had in the sports industry, in my local football association, which I also forgot to mention, I'm also one of the board members of the the Lagos State Football Association. So it's almost like a domino effect. Being curious enough to start something then led to all these additional events, which I would not call a coincidence. So again, it's like telling people, if you want to start sports, you can start small. You can start small, but just start. The most important thing is to start. But to research, do your research. That's one thing I did. I bought books about youth sport, youth football. I looked at what the US was doing as a benchmark. I looked at what England, the FA, England was doing as a benchmark, just so I had a good idea of what exactly to lay down. I mean, my vision for Lagos Tigers is to be one of the top academies in Nigeria for youth football, where we're actually providing opportunities, not just for children who want to go pro, but generally just to improve social conditioning, to improve their motor skills, to, in fact, to help them network, because you'll be surprised, some children, may not necessarily have friends that friends in school. So a lot of them have a network that they've built from coming to the academy. So it's really about having an academy where we look at the whole child. We look at their mental and their physical. We have something called KICS. KICS is stands for our values: kinship, integrity, confidence, and building knowledge. And we use this value system to impart something to the kids. We bring mentors in regularly to come and speak to them as well, because we all know that football is more than a physical game. It's about it's mental as well. Yeah. So I'm proud, but I really know that there's a lot more that we can do and achieve. Yeah. So we're just seeing how things run, seeing how things pan out, and hoping we can continue to push the bar.
If you don't mind, can you please share that framework that you actually use?
Okay, again? So it's a value-based system called KICS, because we needed something memorable and catchy. Yeah. So KICS, like to kick a ball. So K stands for kinship. Kinship is a very old word. We don't use it often. I think teamwork, team spirit has replaced kinship. But I just like the idea of kinship. Your fellow footballers are your friends, they're your teammates, they're your buddies, they're your pals. It's a way of building a very important social skill, because we've been talking about the spirit of sport. The spirit of sport is about collaboration. You can't achieve anything on your own. You just can't, no matter how brilliant you are. So it's very important that we impart that value-based system to the children. Then I stands for integrity. Integrity is, if you have no integrity, you're nothing. So it's a very important value system that we want to also impart early. You're never too young to learn, the value of integrity. Then C is for confidence. I suffered from low self-esteem. Funny enough, people may not realize, but I did for many years. I was shy about speaking out for what I wanted. I was shy about seeming too bossy, so being confident it's not synonymous. Being confident doesn't mean that you're bossy. Being confident doesn't mean that you're arrogant. Being confident simply means that you know your self-worth and you know how to stand up for what you want. So it's important that sports professionals, amateur level, we all understand confidence, because unfortunately there's a lot of threats that the sports industry is facing. We hear about cases of abuse, whether it's the children, whether it's the coaches, whether it's even at the professional level. So it's about grassroots sports. So if we can begin to tackle the problem by getting to the root early, you raise a whole new crop of young athletes that understand confidence. I value my body, I respect my body, and I respect the body of another person. So that way, if possible, we can combat this menace of of people who come into our industry to take advantage. So that confidence piece is so important. And then K stands for knowledge. with anything, if you don't have the technical know-how or knowledge, you can speak and speak and speak or play and it wouldn't come off. You would have nothing to show for it. So it's a very important value system that we stand by, and it covers everything, to be very honest. So it's something that other clubs can adopt it as well. It's I think one of the best ways to actually teach children, So
I hope someone else in that field of work has actually listened in to your value system and has been inspired by that. I certainly, will be reading more about that and seeing actually. I don't have an academy, I don't have anything like that, but I do have, a little sister who likes to play and likes to play sports.
Okay.
So I can see how to integrate that with her. So that's brilliant. It's always a learning lesson from you.
Yes.
I just want to pause and let the live viewers know, if you have any questions for Beverly, just leave a comment down below and I'll pause my conversation with her and, bring up the question. But Beverly, just as we continue, we've talked about, a bit more on the grassroots side. Now, looking over from, being inspired on the grassroots side to even move into sports law, and you have so many positions in boards and just on the governance side. I really want to know what the one skill that has helped you, what the one skill is that has helped you actually develop from starting the academy. That's not an easy thing to do, and then moving into a different sector of sport, and then going forward above that into policy and governance. What is the one skill that you've carried with you since the beginning of your journey in sport that's helped you become who you are today?
Very good question. Okay, if I had to pick absolutely one thing, I would say tenacity. Tenacity. Again, it's not easy juggling different things. Like I said, I've got the academy on one side, I've got the facility again on one side, and I also head the sports and entertainment practice at OAL where I work. It's tenacity. Tenacity sums it up for me. You really have to have things together. You have to be able to go the distance, because you can get worn down quite quickly. But then the thing is, it helps that I really, really am passionate and love all areas that I'm involved in. When you don't have passion for things, even if you can naturally do those things, things will just fall away. You really need to have that spirit of, I'm loving what I'm doing and I'm just going to keep going no matter what. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. So that's really what has helped me get through. There have been many difficult times, academy-wise, even building up the sports law practice. You're having to educate professionals about the need for legal. We're talking about years and years of people drafting contracts themselves, cutting and pasting from the internet, and all of a sudden, you're telling them not only do they need to stop doing that, they also need to start paying for legal services because it's an essential service. So you're doing a lot of work to try and change a culture. Change is very difficult. Change, sometimes you have to be really tenacious to see through change. Sometimes you may not even be the beneficiary of the change. The people that will benefit from the change are the people coming behind you. But you know that at the end of the day, it's for a good cause. But again, I'm fortunate to be involved in so many areas. So I guess that helps balance things out for me. Because the truth of the matter is, sport, initially, sometimes there's no money in it when you start. The money is there, but you really need to go the distance. You really need to prove your worth. You need to show that you have the technical know-how. And to an extent, sometimes there's a little bit of a clique. There's a little, so you will encounter so many things. But if you are tenacious and you have that self-worth and self-belief, you'll go the distance and you'll begin to reap the fruits of your hard work.
No, I understand, and I've resonated so much with what you're saying, actually, especially on the, having so many different things. You have the academy, you have your legal practice, and that's something I just resonate with so much because I had to get going with what I wanted to do, which is this. But as well, for me, I'm still in the learning phase, so I'm not only, running what I'm running, but I'm also being a student, and there's different things like the mentorship programs I take, which, have different requirements and fulfillments. So I think actually with a lot of our speakers today, as Fernando said, he's also balancing, doing his consultancy work, mentoring young people. I think there's so many people who are not only doing one thing, which is why I think this is important for the viewers, is just how can they apply that skill of tenacity towards
Yes.
handling many things and doing them properly and effectively and making an impact.
Yes, absolutely. You just have to, yeah, but you know what? Let's talk about support systems. Like I said, everything I do, it's been in conjunction with support, having an amazing support system behind me. So my team at the law firm are amazing. I work with some brilliant associates, because there's a lot of research involved. You're dealing with a regulated environment, so you have to also sometimes do reviews of new laws, policies. You have to interpret this to your clients so they can understand how it applies to them and why they need to implement. So there's a lot of brain tasking work going on. So it takes a team. It's quite difficult to churn out a lot of content if you don't have a team. So again, I say to people, there's something I read the other day. It says, before you standardize, before you optimize. That basically means figure out a decent template to help you run whatever it is you're doing, whether it's coaching kids or whether it's sports consulting. Create a template that works for you, that takes away the hard work of having to come up with something new each time. Once you have a decent enough template, then you begin to optimize on that, and that's what I do. Templates are the only way for me, and those templates are derived from best in practice, international best practice. So using my academy as an example, what is best practice for an under 10 club? What are the sort of policies you have to ensure that you are running this academy in the proper way? Everything is fit and proper. The coaches have been checked. The coaches have the requisite level, so you need templates. Templates really make a difference. And then once you have a basic foundation, you then build, and you build your standards, and then you optimize. And I take this and I apply this to everything I do. So the law practice, the same thing. We have a basic framework, and then we optimize on that. How can we keep getting better? What are the needs of our end users, our clients, who may be sports professionals, they may be institutions? What are their needs? We always have to have their needs at the back of our minds. So that way you're able to keep up with the volume of work that you have in front of you. Otherwise, things can get pretty disorganized. So being organized is a skill that is highly underestimated. But being organized can take you from a level D to a level A in a few years. So. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, Beverly. I tell you, each time I speak with you, it's always that I'm speaking to a lawyer, because I can see how you understood this framework and implemented it. I think that's brilliant. But I think it's such an important point that you've mentioned there. Not only the skill, which is how to implement that skill. You've given viewers not only an important skill, but you've told them how. And I hope the viewers have listened and heard from Beverly. One super important thing is to actually create a framework, how to do. I'm sure actually a good example, I think Ed does this brilliantly with his podcast show, because instead of starting from scratch every day with every different speaker, he actually has a template of how he carries out his interviews, how things go forward. I'm the same with the events that there's a basis. Things can change along the way depending on what you're doing, but there's a basis and there's a structure of what you're doing, which makes it easy setting up something when you still have your university, you still have another job to deal with. It's very easy to keep duplicating it once you already have a structure. It doesn't mean be rigid to it, of course, but just having that foundation of what you're doing is a huge important skill, which Beverly has shared. So I'll just pause a little bit here. We have a question coming in, which will just pop up on the screen in a little. So the question is, Lydia's thanked you so much for sharing your experience and your
Thanks,
background, and
Lydia.
it's super inspiring. So it's very nice for you to inspire another woman in the sports industry. I do know Lydia personally, and she's doing
Nice.
fantastic in sports. So she's asking how you can translate your passion and bring the pure philosophy of sports, referring also to the human rights that you've mentioned. How can you do that?
Okay, so one other quote I live by is passion without directed action is just misplaced. It's almost, passion is an energy, right? It's a raw energy,
Yeah.
but it needs to be channeled appropriately. So again, that passion, you identify first of all, okay, what am I passionate about? For me, I'm passionate about the youth, obviously. And then I'm able to tie that into my legal background. So when if I'm passionate about the youth and I have my legal background, I can say to myself, okay, I'm going to channel that passion into talking about protecting the rights of minors. I did an article on that, co-wrote an article with one of the lawyers in at work, Yinka. We wrote it together. And that was a fantastic way of directing passion about the youth and channeling it appropriately into a piece of work, a body of work, which evidences, okay, I'm passionate about it. How am I doing something to raise awareness about why minors in sports need to be protected? So, Lydia, what I'll say to you is what you're passionate about. I don't know what you do, but kudos for being in sports. Take it, identify what gaps there might be in the area that it is you're passionate about, and begin to focus there. Because I do believe in having a focused approach. A focused, targeted approach will get you further than sort of just gunshot, shoot everywhere approach. So connect your passion with something specific. It doesn't mean that you'll be stuck in that area. Trust me, you won't. There's too much in sports to get on with. But you can start by having a specific thing that you want to focus on. Say you want to talk about, access to justice for grassroots sports. It's if a grassroots professional is wrongfully denied his right to be in a team, or is wrongfully denied his wages or whatever, you don't even have to be a lawyer. You can just talk about these things. There are many NGOs run by non-lawyers simply raising awareness about human rights issues, from labor to good working conditions, to wages, to, you name it, dignity of the person. So find something specific to channel your passion into. And in doing that, it will give you more ideas about the next project or the next area it is you want to focus on. So passion has to be targeted in order to make it effective, because passion that isn't channeled properly to me, it's wasted. So don't waste that energy. Target it, be specific, and loads of people will pop out from the woodwork saying, oh, we want to help, come and speak here, oh, write an article on this. So, you'll be surprised what being targeted can do. It will raise your profile and it will expose you to other areas that you wouldn't even have thought about. So, yeah, I hope that helps.
Very true. I agree 100%. There's a second part to her question, actually, which is more on the development side of grassroots. And she says, do you believe by investing in youth academies, we can develop both mental and physical aspects of the next generation athletes?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. It's something I'm so happy to see is happening more and more now in Nigeria. I would like to believe that this is also happening in other parts of Africa. In Nigeria now, we're seeing academies focusing in athletics. It's amazing. We're looking at there's more running clubs now to help children learn how to sprint. I mean, it's gymnastics. We are raising a whole new we're raising the next generation. And the next generation, believe it or not, they are more advanced than us. They're smarter than us. So we need to channel them appropriately. The techniques that were used, I guess, for us will definitely not be adequate for a child in 2020. They're just a little bit more advanced than us. So the more academies can crop up, obviously good academies, I need to emphasize, we need to do things properly. There has to be focus on doing it properly. Curriculums have to be right. People have to be qualified. I don't coach anyone myself, by the way. I have qualified coaches in my employ. So the more specialized academies that spring up, and not just for the private middle class families that can afford it. Sports it can be expensive. It's an expensive industry. So it would be great to also see more PPPs, private public partnerships, whereby the government can also support more programs that can develop kids that attend the state schools and the public schools. Because look, the next Usain Bolt may not be from a private school. It might be from a state school. So we really need to have a balanced approach to youth development. We can't just focus everything in the private schools. They already get the best of most things. We also need to address, how do we get our public school kids who are also talented but just don't have the means? So how can we also deploy? So that's also something that I was going to be looking into this year, how to get my academy involved, through my foundation, involved in more public initiatives. So you can never have too many. Honestly, I think I don't know what your population is, Lydia, but Lagos alone, where I live, is 20 million people, and out of the 20 million, we're looking at about 8 million in full-time primary education. The figures are staggering. So 8 million children in Lagos to effectively, train to be the next crop of professional talent, amateur talent. So we really don't have enough. I think people kind of think in their small community, there's already so many clubs here and there. But when you look at the bigger picture of the population of, say, Nairobi, and you think about the numbers of children, trust me, even 100 academies can't accommodate everyone. So we need a concerted effort. We need the government support. We need private. We need both. To be honest, we need both to go around. So kudos to anybody.
No, I think that was brilliant. I'll just take one more question, actually, because obviously this is a great conversation. I'll take one more question before we wrap up, which is something I was actually wondering as well. So I'm glad that question came up. And it's, what was the greatest challenge in establishing the academy, and what measures did you put in place to overcome them?
Excellent question. I still battle with this till today. The greatest challenge I had was, standards. Standardization was tough. It still is. Standardization from the point of view of my coaches, what basic level of qualifications did they require to have. Standardization from the point of view of making sure that my coaches are delivering a meeting best international practice when it comes to coaching children. And when we talk about coaching children, it's not just the physical, it's psychosocial, there's the mental. Finding coaches that can address those complex areas wasn't easy at all. So there was a lot of false starts. You find coaches, things are going well, and then something happens that they weren't trained on, and everything just goes down. So we did go through some rough patches, losing coaches. In fact, we even lost a couple of players simply because we didn't address certain issues properly. So handling a difficult parent, for instance, some of the coaches weren't well prepared for that, and it didn't end too well. So standardization, making sure they know how to deal with parents, making sure we know how to deal with a wide array of children, because children, they come in different shapes, sizes, temperaments. There's no one size fits all. So that training, that ongoing training, was definitely one of the most challenging things. And training is not cheap. So I had to rely on finding free resources online. I looked up to Sport England a lot. I can't say how indebted I am to Sport England. That's why I say, trust me, the work on sports is not enough. We have so much we need to cover in terms of material. Another challenge we had was even with my staffing, because I have my coaches who face the children themselves. And then you have the back office. Back office is your admin, your customer service, your operations, your administration, making sure everything is running seamlessly, even something, and then don't forget social media. Any business right now that is not on social media is losing out a huge proportion of customers, and also you're losing out an amazing opportunity to showcase your brand. So that challenge of, I have a brand. What do I want my brand to convey? How can I be consistent in my brand image? Trust me, I'm a lawyer. I didn't do brand marketing, but all of a sudden I had to learn little bits of brand marketing. I had to learn about digital marketing. I had to learn all these things. Again, the tenacity is kicking in because you're almost like the CEO. I have a team, mind you, but you also have a responsibility to make sure you always convey the vision of the business. So that continuous training, it did get tough. It got tough. At some point, I said, I can't do this anymore. But then when things begin to go your way and people send you feedback, oh, you're doing well, oh, we found you online, then you think, okay, it's not so bad. But it can be tough. And then, oh, let's not forget legal and regulatory. I'm a registered academy. You have to pay your taxes. You have to, whether or not you're earning, you have to pay your taxes. So there were a lot of challenges. You have to make sure that you're staying afloat. At one point, if your subscription numbers go down, that is the number of players you have subscribing. All of a sudden, you struggle to pay for maybe, I don't know, one much needed essential service within your business. So you're an entrepreneur effectively. It's the typical struggles of an entrepreneur. The struggles of a sports entrepreneur are no different to the struggles of an entrepreneur in any other industry. We will have some specifics, but generally it's the same. Cash is king. You need to make sure you always have your cash coming in. You need to be innovative. You need to always think about how to attract your target market in new ways, because guess what? People see what you're doing. They see, oh, she is successful. Let's copy. So you have that thing where people copy, and you have to, try and innovate just to keep people interested. So it can be challenging, but you know what? You have to be more positive. You accentuate the positive. You're doing it for a good cause. You're doing it because you want to be part of the sports industry success story. If you didn't, then you might as well just pack up and go home. So you just have to see the positives in what you're doing and keep pushing. But people can send me their questions via email, beverly@oal.law.
That's actually the next thing I was going to ask, because I think you're someone who has so many different perspectives. Someone is talking about FIFA, which is a whole huge conversation. Nathaniel, I promise I'm not ignoring it. Just that we're short on time for Beverly because she has such an amazing perspective. So Beverly, please repeat. How can the live viewers interact with you and send you more questions?
Okay, so you can interact with me via email, Beverly, BEVERLEY @OAL.law, as in the law, LAW. You can also interact with me on my Twitter. I'm extremely active. I'm tweeting every day about everything from sports to regulatory to contracts. My Twitter handle is @MaxyB. MAXXYB. I'll be happy to engage you in conversation either way. Always a pleasure.
And if you learned something from Beverly today, please comment your biggest takeaway in this comment here on Facebook. You can also take it over to Twitter. Use the hashtag Spirits of Sport. You can tag Beverly @MaxyB, and just share something you've learned today, a different perspective, a light bulb moment, anything that you've gotten from this conversation, because it's been a long and brilliant one with Beverly. Beverly, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Such
been
a
a pleasure.
pleasure.
I look forward to continue this with you, you know.
Such a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the session. I'll be watching in on the sidelines.
Fantastic. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.